Okay, we've already done that, and we've had Amanda, Laura, and David. Thank you very much, guys. I'm gonna try and keep my slides quite short if I can, and have a bit of a discussion, so we don't have to finish too late and hear anything else. These are just a few things that we came up with my team, so it's going to be really quick. Just a couple of different things we came up with this year that we were trying and everything. One was check-ins, and I'll come back to them all. How to do kind of team discussions, which, you know, I was interested to hear about Miro and how that came off. Something small on retrospectives, and just thoughts on remote working in general. So check-ins. What we did was we started these back in February, March, and because we're doing Kanban in our team, so we were just walking the wall literally and going around and doing that. And I think around sort of February, March, where, you know, the coronavirus thing was kicking off, and some of the people in the team were in a position where they felt they needed to self-isolate earlier than others as well. So we were already, before the company actually sent us home, were having remote members of the team who were feeling a bit stressed out by and anxious about what was happening, and were now remote working when they weren't previously. So what we decided to basically do was, after finishing walking the wall and going through the work of the day and just checking that in, then we just go around to the team and share how we are. And, you know, it was encouraged to be as open as you can, really, and human. Nearly everyone kept the video on, and has kept the video on the whole time. I was basically just said anything, whatever it is. Like, you know, I got up this morning, went for a 5-mile run, and I felt a lot better, or, you know, I didn't sleep very well last night, or just to kind of check in and share how they were. And we basically did that every day, and it really worked to help support us initially, because things were changing very rapidly and it was all a bit odd. And I felt that was really good, a way of sharing the experience, and everyone sort of saying, well, you know, this crazy stuff's also happening to me, and it's all happening to all of us, and this has happened and that happened. And then we just couldn't stop doing it, actually. I think there was a point, especially in sort of June, or when they started releasing the lockdowns and everything like that, and people feeling a bit more positive, that we could have sort of stopped it and said, well, we don't really need to do it, but we just never really stopped it. So we still do it every day anyway, and everyone says how they are, and if they're feeling a bit down, or you know, whether they've just split up with their partner or whatever. And we just seem to be sharing this stuff in our stand-ups, which is I found it quite amazing, and it's you know, it can be quite personal at times as well. So it has really bonded the team and kept it cohesive and together. We even have a new team taking over in this particular team, so we've literally done a whole team handover, and they've come along and adopted it, and I'm not sure whether they'll keep it in the new year, but they seem to quite like it as well, so I think they might do. So it's been a good practice. Anyone done anything similar? Or had anything similar or similar experience with that? Just wondered while I'm here.
Mike, you heard me talk about this, I think, in the last meetup.
Yeah, probably did. Yeah.
Yeah, we did one-on-one. Like, I did one-on-ones. The team was adamantly against them, and then I brought them back just to casually, you know, see how are people doing. But I had very set questions. I would ask 8 questions about, you know, tell me about rumors you're hearing. Tell me about something going on in your life. And then I really found people started opening up that things were really chronic, you know, the chronic situations in their lives, and how we could start all of a sudden adjust the teams, the team, like all of a sudden, like the time for stand up changed, because and the time people start walking away from the day, because all of a sudden, you know, they're responsible for children all of a sudden, or they're responsible for a parent, and making it as easy as possible to be at work. Now, remember, as I stated, the team members were adamantly against it at the beginning. Like, they didn't want to do it. So I let the team members decide that. But then after a while, I was like, okay, I'm going to casually just reintroduce this, because I'm not getting quite the feedback I need to make, you know, and I'm noticing you're all starting to get a little quiet in meetings. So that's when sometimes backing off, and like I'm I'm a very militant communicator at times, and so anyway, I kept them very, very short to 15 minutes. So it was right, right before lunch or right after lunch, whenever they wanted it, basically, so it wasn't interrupting the day, basically. And it really helped. Now I don't do it all the time because people don't want to go on and on and on about problems all the time.
Mm.
But by doing that, I noticed it all of a sudden it improved in the ability of, especially when I didn't know there was a conflict between two developers, right? And being able to, inject myself, I'm like, hey, what's going on, and joining the pairing sessions to make sure, we are resolving the actual problem we're trying to solve, and there's not that external friction that's just, causing an exacerbation of the issue that's already in existence.
Thank you. And Tim, did you have something to say?
Yeah, what we have been running for many years now is a bi-weekly round the table video conference, which is like a retrospective, except we invented it without reference to a retrospective, but it's sort of how it's been and how I anticipate it will be. And that, because we had the meetings in place and we had the video conferencing facilities already set up, we just kept those going at the same cadence, but remotely. And because it's always been a remote meeting, I've tended to again sort of orchestrate it. So calling out who will next be, who the turn taking, orchestrating the turn taking, and but I changed what people were asked to talk about in the meeting, just to have an element of check-in. I think it's gone away again now, but that was just during the initial panic. Everyone has become, I'd say we're very sort of stable now. We're not having the great emotional ups and downs. And I'm really keen to take some of the learnings that we've made from this episode back into the office when the office reopens in June or whenever we think that will be. And not to, to resist any temptation to rush back to normal. I think this can be seen as a sort of positive step change.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I'm going to move on to my next one. So one of the things I find, and this is a person who doesnn't really know about Miro much. One of the things is, hang on, if I can make this work. Sorry, I went and touched the Zoom thing. Right, there you go. As tech lead in my team, I needed to drive architecture decisions. We were sort of building a new project this year. It was quite greenfield. And one of the things we're coming up with is picking architecture at this moment, but we also have product and design feature meetings and stuff like that. And I find that, and that's a bit difficult really, because it's the kind of thing I normally do with a whiteboard and posters and get everyone in the room and draw and, come up with different things. So the way I sort of went about it was I'd start iterating around something like this. This is the final example, and just sort of draw it on my tablet and say, this is kind of what the architecture should maybe look like. Maybe we'll do this sort of thing. Discuss it with one or two other people, and just pick a couple of people on the team and have a sort of a conversation about it, and get it to a point where we had a sort of decent straw man to take to the team and say, hey, this is what we think we should be doing. And then facilitate the conversation as well, because one of the things I've sort of found is obviously remote discussions on video conferencing, because of the lag quite often as well, and you quite often don't realize a lag until you're having quite a lively debate on something, and people are talking and interjecting really quickly, and then all of a sudden you realize that you can easily just don't talk over someone else, because you don't know, because you think there's a gap and then there's not, because someone's already talking. And it can be quite difficult. So I find like facilitated discussions is good then for this, where you can go round and make sure that everyone's drawn in and contributed. And then we can sort of revise it and write it up properly and produce tickets. A minor thing, but a sort of different technique and a sort of pivot to how we were doing it before, and a way of keeping it sort of interactive and making sure that everyone's inputted in it. I'm just going to go through the rest of the slides and then sort of hand back to everyone to input, if that's all right. Retrospectives, I don't know. The only thing I wanted to comment on them, and this is my only use of Miro one time when I did a boat, I tried to do a sort of boat retrospective with it, and it sort of worked quite well. So that was quite good. I think one of the problems with retrospectives is that it's always a thing, actually. We take it in turns, and quite often every week it's sort of sad, mad, glad, or very similar, and it gets a bit what's the word, routine. So people can go, oh, it's that again. Okay, I'll just sort of put some up there, and it doesn't sort of keep it inspiration. I would like to discuss afterwards maybe any ideas where people have had for making retrospectives more exciting, because I do think that that's been something that we've missed slightly in this, because we in our team probably didn't find the right tools, and so we were just using a fun retro board, and actually they're not that fun, really. And it would just be rather boring, any inspiration. So I did try and do a boat one, which did work using Miro, but that was about the only kind of attempt there. And then finally, just some thoughts on remote working, really. These are sort of random thoughts. So I actually had a distributed team this year. So sort of Birmingham, Oxford, Amsterdam, Utrecht, London, Hereford, Worcester, plus we've got colleagues in America and different things like that. So everyone was in different places. So it would have been actually a difficult year of getting people together, and not everyone would be together. And our product colleagues were in sort of Amsterdam or in Holland, and so it would have been this sort of separation where there's one team in an office work quite closely, and then there's people removed. So it worked really well for us, because it's just leveled the playing field in a lot of ways. Everyone's remote, so everyone's in the same boat, and no one's able to break off into a quick meeting face to face, because no one can, so that's worked really well for us. I think it's been better, and it's been much more egalitarian, I suppose. We didn't have any get-togethers, though. That was what I was most depressed about. And we did the sort of therapy session last time, Brianna, didn't we? And the catharsis, and this was one of the things I didn't like. We didn't get any get-togethers, so we did a whole project launch this year, so we would have had a number of get-togethers. We didn't. Plus side is, I think that probably saved the company loads of money. I mean, I guess that's a good thing in some ways, especially when obviously financially it's probably not the best year for anyone. I found much more time to work and live. So, I mean, really, to be honest, and I had to put both of them in a way that each day, because didn't have to travel to work and you're just working from home and it's all fine, then there's much more time just to kind of do work, and you could work a bit later or a bit earlier if you want to. I've been able to do that, or I could just leave work early and it's fine, and no one's really minded. And maybe I've been lucky in the sense there's been quite a high degree of trust in the company, that we're getting on and doing our jobs, and as far as I can tell, everyone's done that, and I think naturally, maybe they've done that because they've just been trusted. It's important to establish boundaries between work and life. I think they've got a bit blurred this year, quite a lot. Certainly some of my work colleagues have been almost like my closest friends this year, much more intense, because I've not been seeing a lot of other people. It's allowed people to take time out in the day. So I've been, when it got dark in the evenings, I started booking out 2 hours at lunchtime to go for a walk in the daylight, just because that's the time, and there is no longer could go for a walk after work and everything. So that was good. One thing just wanted to say lastly is it's always really difficult, because our office in Elsevier is in Kidlington, north of Oxford, and recruitment can be quite difficult, really, finding people to work here in the office. And there's always a desire to have these people present in the office. Everyone's got to be co-located. It's a bit of an agile mantra, and you know, it is difficult because in a way, cities like Oxford, Swindon, those kind of cities, a lot of people are just drawn to London or Bristol or Birmingham, and where they can pay more and probably live in a slightly less parochial environment. And it's actually meant that, you know, because we could work remotely with people, it's fine. And I think if we can tolerate more people working remotely in the future, and Tim, we don't go back to the fact, oh, we've got to get everyone back in the office in June, we actually lead to more flexibility of who we can work with and everything. And we don't have to have this thing of competing. You know, if someone lives in Didcot or Reading, then they start going to London because they get paid more. And it's sometimes easier to get into London from Reading than it is to drive up the A34 or try and get 2 trains and a bus to work. Come and work for us in the middle of nowhere, where there's not even a sandwich shop. There's like this little van that comes around to the police, and yeah, there's nothing there. It's in the middle of nowhere, and that's it really. Those are my thoughts. So, any thoughts on my thoughts, guys?
Yeah, really echo a lot of that, Mike. Particularly the better work-life balance, and the remote hiring. I have hired someone and given them the assurance that they can continue to work remotely when, yeah, in the future. So basically, that's the terms upon which they've been hired. Is we don't know when the lockdowns and interventions by the state will change, but she will continue to work remotely and only basically come and join the team once a month or something of that sort, or maybe fortnightly. But you know, she is a remote worker, and that then the level playing field thing. Bravo! I mean, that's exactly what I've been saying. We've been, yeah, my team has gone on a journey itself. Infosys also struggles with remote working. It's set up with these fantastic campuses, which are a model of a American or European academic campus, and they're ring fenced and they're beautiful and they're a wonderful oasis of calm. And you need your whole working day to recover from the stress of having commuted to them and working up to the stress to commute away from them. But they are good. But this COVID thing has thrown I'd already pushed the boundaries a bit. I had a prize and a senior engineer who had to return home. She wanted to start a family, and there was no Infosys office nearby. So they gave ground and they said, yeah, okay, you can. She doesn't have to leave Infosys. She doesn't have to stop working for you. She can work remotely. Then people were working in different Infosys offices, so the team was still office-based, but so that was the first thing, office-based, but not in the same Infosys office. Then home worker, and then COVID came along, and everyone's working from home, and it's superb. One guy has gained 4 hours a day into his life, and then it makes the same conditions for them as for us and the Amsterdam product owners. And it just means I don't have to have 2 or 3 different types of team member. We're all the same. And that's what being a member of an engineering squad is about, is focusing on the engineering and not focusing on how you're paid or who your employer is, or different organizational things which enable the engineering team to come together. And yeah, I'm passionate about being an engineer and think that corporations are merely there to enable engineering. Other people would say it the other way around, but that I really do think that that's what corporations are for, and they need to be reminded that that's what they're for. So yeah, thank you, Mike. It's good.
That's great. Thank you, Tim. I really appreciated that. I have missed occasionally seeing you on the bus, though.
Yes.
Anyone? Any other thoughts from that, or any thoughts at all? I don't mind.
Sure, I'll share some. So Mike, since the last time we met, my life has become more dramatic. So of course, you know, it says on the screen, I'm in Texas, right? Well, my boyfriend and I have been found out we're being relocated to California. So if you know anything about California and Texas right now, we have 1 million cases of COVID in either state, right? And we're not even going to somewhere sexy in California. It's Bakersfield, California. Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know, and so
No
we're trying to figure out like he's already had to start the new job, so he's working on and it's 2 hours behind, so he's on California Pacific time, and we're in Central time, so he's working 4/10, so he works from Monday through Thursday and has every Friday off. But I mean, it doesn't work for our lives as it is, and now we're being forced to move, right, in a pandemic. California is in a lockdown. I'm still trying to run 3 teams, and I'm like, you know, our standard of living is going, our cost of living, I always say standard, it's not standard, it's cost of living is 30% higher in California. So we're trying to figure out how to buy a house, move our life out there, and get out there safely, because my boyfriend's high risk for for COVID, right? And I'm trying to, because we're not even living together because I'm afraid it'll kill him. Like if he catches it, it will kill him. So like I have no idea how we're supposed to live our lives together. And like this, it's just like the pandemic just decided to hit us or something like that. So if you thought it was bad for the first 9 months, and then you get to, you know, the end, you know, what should have been about the end of it, or the second wave, it's trying to figure out like the first 9 months were a test, right? And it did nothing to prepare me for the situation I'm in now of how do you move to another state, keep your boyfriend alive, keep your job, you know, find a new job, you know. So I wanted to throw that out and just say, hey, it could always be worse, right? But I'm still laughing about it. I'm trying to decide, do I write the Dear John letter and break up with the boyfriend and stay in Texas, or do I go with him and we try to figure all this all out?
It is Bakersfield, though. I mean, crikey.
It's Bakersfield. It's the desert. It's the San Joaquin Valley. There is nothing sexy there. So, you know, if it were a little bit more glamorous, I might be okay. But I'm like, I did say you're asking me to move to the desert in a pandemic, right?
There was a really good breakfast buffet place. I went there. They did a really great breakfast buffet. One place I went to once, but that's a
Most
plus
people
point.
go through Bakersfield. They don't stop in Bakersfield.
Well, I was going through it.
Yeah. Most people go through. There's no reason to, you know, be in Bakersfield unless you know anything about oil and gas or.
Is it one of those places? Is it one of those places? The only reason you stop is because you broke down or something.
Very much
Yeah.
so.
Is that,
Yeah.
okay, right.
Yeah. If you think of the Wild West with all the pump jacks and oil derricks and stuff like that, that is Bakersfield.
Okay.
Actually, it's the neighborhood next door. It's called Oildale. The name gives it away. Oildale.
I think one thing I would say to you is it's an opportunity. Don't think of it. Don't think of it as a negative. I'd also say don't try and do everything. Just do 1 or 2 things. And actually, you know what? This is going to come to an end. It's not wave after wave after wave after wave. You know, humanity's been here before. Humanity will do it again. There will be other epidemics and pandemics. We'll deal with it. We always have. We'll do it again. And I would honestly say that right now, I think the main thing is your health and well-being.
Yeah.
And if that is your focus, I would say, especially as we're coming into the Christmas period, the holidays, whatever you want to call it, you know, season of good cheer and positivity, I would say balance and well-being. And I think if you keep it as simple as that, everything else just sort of fits into, you'll do it, you know you'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, and just put it into perspective.
I have a very adventurous soul. So I'm Texan by birth, but spent most of my life outside the United States in places like Saudi Arabia, right? And Dubai and Finland. So like being adventurous is not so hard. I think this thing that scares me the most is, one, it's California. Two, I'm sitting right on top of the San Andreas Fault. There's nothing I could do to prepare for
I was gonna say, yeah, I was in Austin in February. So I know Texas well. But I also know California well. And to be honest, why not put Bakersfield on the map, but for a different reason? Not that it's in the desert and you just pass through it if you happen to break down. Why not create a new reason?
Oh yeah. So when I'm creating Agile Bakersfield, you're all going to be in attendance, right?
Exactly. So we're looking forward to inviting you back in 2021 to present Agile in Bakersfield and what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. I think on that note and the idea of that, it's probably the end. So I'm gonna just share this slide and say thank you to Amanda, Laura, David, and the rest of you for coming and attending and your input in this. It was a small but select and very lovely group to spend a couple of hours this evening on Zoom yet again. So I am looking for ideas for 2021. So we've already got Brianna coming to talk to us about Agile Bakersfield at some point. You just remember the extra 2 hours time difference from the UK, obviously with that. And if you have, then you can either email me m.harris@elsevier.com or Ox Agile Meetup, or just message me through the Meetup group, or somehow get in touch with me, or find me on LinkedIn. And so that's it. I haven't got anything planned. I think the next one will probably be the second Tuesday in February, because probably skip the January one. And David, would you like to just tell us? Of course, most of us are not in Oxford on this call, which is great. And this is the other thing I like is the fact that most of us aren't in Oxford, and that's opened the meetup potential up. So, David, what's Agile Oxfordshire doing at the moment or planning? Have you got any plans?
Yes, we have some plans for next year. Yes, so just context. I'm running another meetup in Oxford as well, so it's confusing. But hey, it's not Ox Agile, it's Agile Oxfordshire. But anyway, we just took the name and did that. But yeah, we know there'll be things in January. Just haven't got a date yet, but it's coming with some great talks and great people and workshops as well. Some more interactive things, because I don't know about you, but talks is good, but you might as well watch it on YouTube. So I'd rather have a discussion in the interaction with people. So I think I'd rather have workshops and things like that than just 1 hour long talks. So that's what's coming. Thanks for the plug.
That's okay. That's fine. Anytime at all. And thank you very much for coming and talking, David, as well. And again, to you, Amanda, and everyone else for your input. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So that was it. I said 8:30, and it is actually 8:29.
Perfect timing.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. That was really good.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Take care.
So you too.
Take
Take
care.